Hey, this is Chuck Lemire from Corcoran Associates, and I'm here again for one of our webinars of all of the different people we bring, not just to our clients, but to other people in the real estate industry. Bob Corcoran has been coaching clients across the United States for more than 30 years, teams that do upwards of 3,000 transactions a year, but you have to start somewhere. And whether it be starting at this webinar or where you're starting today at 50 transactions or 75, some of the details that you'll hear today can get you to your goals in 2023. I've got the great pleasure of introducing Bob Corcoran and also Justin Kerr from iHomefinder, which is a company that, I was at NAR in Orlando and I mentioned iHomefinder to some people and they knew who they were and some other people who didn't. So iHomefinder might be a company that you want to take a look at, and what you want to do is take a look at how they can help you approach today's marketplace, because we all know that 2 years ago, many real estate agents had one buyer that they had to put in offers on 30 different houses because there were 30 different offers. And our marketplace was crazy, but the marketplace is different today. And we're finding that realtors fall into one of two categories. Those who say, oh my God, what's going on? And you see those on Instagram and Facebook all the time, or those agents who know how to handle this marketplace. And what Bob will talk about with our clients and what Justin will talk about with the technology at iHomefinder is those applications, are those applications for how to reach your clients. We're going to cover a few things today, primarily how to control the listing side of your business, which is the essence of a top producing team or a top producing realtor. 2, how to increase your average sales price. And 3, how to differentiate yourself in the marketplace. Now, as we go through, you've got the chat box and question box, so you can click in and ask any question you'd like. And we have more than 150 people registered that will be clicking in today, so we'll cover some questions from across the country. And certainly what Bob and Justin will cover today is as much for metropolitan markets like Boston, Chicago, or San Francisco as it is for smaller markets across the United States. So, Justin, I'd like to welcome you first. You're hailing from Oregon, is that correct?
That is correct. Corvallis, Oregon, home of the Oregon State Beavers.
That's awesome. Now, Justin's been in our industry in different companies and understands not just technology, but Justin is a great coach and also a great mentor to many of the people who use iHomefinder in order to be able to grow their business. And of course, my partner and my friend, Bob Corcoran. Bob has coached top teams across the nation that have done more business than many other corporations. So Bob, great to see you again.
Chuck, always great to be here. You know, the one thing I love about this is, we have a theme here. We've been doing these webinars, and we totally love giving back to the industry. And that's another one in a series of these webinars, giving back to the industry that we all love so dearly. I mean, it's quite frankly, it's made us a lot of money also. Okay, that's why I guess we love it. But the thing is, you define passion, and when you work in, my attitude's always been, let me help you get to a place where you're not working with financial stress. When you can start working, without financial stress, your whole life changes. And so we are constantly scanning the globe, looking for different technologies out there that are on the cutting edge. And, when I first met Homefinder, was through my great friend, George Salvador. Okay. And he just spoke so highly. I'm like, come on, George, I've heard of a lot of companies out there. I hadn't heard of Homefinder yet. He goes, well, let me get you in touch with Justin. I remember an initial conversation with Justin, and just Justin being totally blown away by what you guys are doing to the industry. I felt you were like a secret agent. And I think it's time we take the covers off and expose to the world what most of them are missing. Because, when I look in here and really plot some of the strategies you guys have put in place, just unbelievable, Justin. And it's an honor to be associated with you and to share a screen with you today. So I appreciate you, and I want to welcome you to the show as well.
Hey, the honor's all mine, Bob and Chuck. It is an honor to actually be in the presence of such greatness. I am so happy to be here. And yeah, I am really excited to kind of share some of kind of our best tips and tricks to better utilizing the technology side of of your business. So that's really something I'm happy to share with you guys today.
Excellent. All right,
We're
let's
looking
get started,
forward to
Chuck.
this. You know, one of my mentors and one of my long-term friends once said, you know, our business is very simple. It's a face-to-face, belly-to-belly business where you have to communicate your value proposition. That doesn't make it easy. However, it is a simple business. And, you know, Justin, one of the things that I found looking at iHomefinder is that there is simplicity in a lot of different facets, and I'm looking forward to getting into that today. You know, some of your consumers, because I looked at some of your current clients and what they had to say, and one, you know, Angela said, at my first encounter, the staff at Homefinder was very helpful and spent time with me attempting to discover what I needed in my particular marketplace. And Keith said, the integration works well with my WordPress sites. The videos and how to get set up was smooth. And that's what Bob and I look for, because very often the companies want to be complex. They want to integrate all these different features. And in our business, in our industry, we need to keep it simple. And that's one of the principles that I've heard from Bob for decades. Keep it simple. That's
Sweetheart, kiss it.
That's right.
Sweetheart.
Keep
Yeah,
it simple,
Justin.
sweetheart. Yeah.
Keep it
So,
simple, sweetheart.
I'll start us off with a very simple question, you know, because it's a question that any team, any realtor, any brokerage would ask is, how do I get more listings? Because we all know that if we dominate the list side, especially in today's marketplace, where inventory has been low, but it's gaining, but we're entering that marketplace that those of us who have been in the business for more than 30 years have seen in previous decades. You need to dominate the list side of the equation. So tell us first how iHomefinder helps with that process, and then Bob will add in how that's working with some of our teams.
Absolutely. One of my favorite tools to actually help agents and brokerages engage with their clients is actually, it's a feature of ours called Market Boost, which is an automated email campaign that also links back to your website. So it actually has a twofold approach. There's a section in it called Market Stats, which shows on your website the last 30 days and 6 months of activity. And that's average price of homes that are being listed, average price of homes, you know, that are new versus those that have been on the market for more than 30 days, what the inventory changeover has been, how long on average a home even stays listed. That email, if you opt in for that, or the great thing about our system too, is you can actually subscribe any sellers you have in any of these markets that you create, because the markets are as you define them, not as we define them. You can create those with polygon searches. You can create them by running a search for specific types of properties. If you wanted to have a commercial market or waterfront homes, if you're like, if you're dealing with Bob and his people down there in Florida, if you wanted to do a specific high-rise complex, that email goes out the first of every month to anyone who's subscribed to it with the prior month statistics. So now not only are you educating your clients on what everything is happening in their market, but they're now informed for when those discussions with their sphere of influence start to happen. So they can actually start engaging in an educated form with not just what they're seeing on them, you know, through the media, but actual statistics that are being pulled from their MLS that they live in and being delivered to them by their agent. Really fun way for the agent to then also get that sphere of influence, because those people, they can go right back to your website and subscribe to those very same campaigns.
All right. Is there any limitations on a national level of MLSs? Do you guys only have a few? How many MLSs?
We have over 450 MLSs in the United States, Canada, South America, Mexico. So we're the largest as far as like affiliations with MLS boards go. We have the most, and that really comes from our being in the industry as long as we have. We were founded in the mid 90s. We essentially started in just the Bay Area, which is where our office is located. And in 2001, we became national. And in 2003, we became international. And yeah, so over 450 MLS boards.
Wow.
The only caveat with those is sold data. That is a board to board thing. And unfortunately, if you live in Texas, that's your whole state. And I'm sorry for it.
Yeah, but I've even found with other products, Justin, I can still get seller valuations out of Texas that are extremely accurate, even though it's not public. I don't know where they pull the data from, but it's amazing how accurate data is. So Texas can be something we could look at in the future.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, Chuck, you talk about controlling the listing, and my very first mentor was a guy named, and Chuck, I don't think you ever heard this name. His name was Jim Good.
No,
He was based out of Laguna Beach. Okay. He was, I remember when I got started in this business 33 years ago, we hired this gentleman to teach us scripts and dialogues. And so I'm talking to this guy, what do you do for a living? And he's telling me he's going through it. And that's how I started my career. Was just talking. He was my very first mentor and in my future to where I am today. Hats off, God bless his soul. Okay, but a great guy. But he said to me one thing that has stuck with me all this. He who owns the listings owns the market. And now where Bob Corcoran alters it, he who owns the listing lead owns the market. Okay, because everyone listening, understand one thing. Every seller in America has one thing in common if they own a house. The house will eventually sell. Okay, whether it's a fire sale, REO, you choose to sell it, estate sale, doesn't matter. But eventually the house will sell. Maybe not in Justin, Bob, Chuck's lifetime, but it'll sell. So the more that we can squirrel, and it's the only time I will use the word squirrel away leads, is when I squirrel away future seller leads. So when we look at controlling the listing and the tools that iHomefinder allows us to use to stay in touch with these people while integrating other maybe technologies or platforms to tie into the platform, folks, you have the most powerful future seller platform in America. I've done many webinars, Justin, over the years. I've never made a comment about a company controlling the listing data as I believe iHomefinder can. And folks, so control the listing. How do I do that though, Justin? What is my first step in controlling a listing?
Well, it's easy. So once you've sold a person, right? That's when that listing is essentially yours. If you're the person who represented the buyer in that transaction, guess what? You have the best opportunity to list yourself as that person who sells that person's house. So if you're using iHomefinder, you get them into your CRM. And we all know Bob loves his CRMs because that CRM, you can set them up on an email and text drip campaign. And our text responses are 39%. People respond to our text drip campaigns at a high rate.
Excuse me. Can you repeat that last statement?
Yeah, so our SMS drip campaigns have a 39% response rate.
Now, wait, I've talked to some of the top marketing companies in America, real estate, non-real estate related. Every single freaking company has told me, Justin, if you get a 2% open rate, that's considered very good.
Yeah.
Which was my exact reaction when our marketing and our data team provided me with that statistical number, which was, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay, because I always throw a line out there, Justin, that 39.6% of all numbers are made up on the spot.
Absolutely.
Okay. And how did you research that data to verify that that is an accurate number? Because that's an unbelievable, I've never heard that huge of an open rate before, ever.
Absolutely. So with our system, we're actually able to track response rates to emails, to text messages. So you can actually see when people are engaging with you. You can see click-throughs and that all in your control panel. So we actually do house that data for you as an agent, but it also helps us to run analytics and statistics on the text messages that you're sending. How effective are they? 39% is really effective, especially when you consider most of your clients expect a response within 1 hour, but only 15% of agents do that.
Yeah,
and that was a wave group study.
And just so you know, what we promote to our clients, okay, is I expect the response time to be less than 15 minutes. A lot of our teams said they built inside sales departments, so where the response time goes down to 5 minutes. Because he who responds, you got to remember, folks, if they're searching on all these different platforms on your website, they're searching other websites and other platforms. They're emailing other real estate agents. So it's called speed to lead. The first one that's going to contact them, if you know your script well enough, you secure the client for future business. Right, Justin?
Absolutely. And even Zoom would, or not Zoom, Zillow would actually agree with that. Zillow actually has a study, their premier group, that showed that responses increase by, your chance of a response increases by 400% if you respond within the first 2 minutes.
Wow.
So having a drip campaign system that automatically responds for you in under a minute means that you're beating that client's expectation of an hour and you're ahead of that 400% curve. You're giving yourself the best opportunity to, you know, keep that lead.
No, and I agree with that. And as long as you can always tell when somebody is untrained with autoresponders. Okay. I hate when I get that autoresponder. I'm like, oh, I can tell it's an autoresponder. The thing I love about iHomefinder is you get to customize the autoresponder, right? So
absolutely.
We never want it to come across as an autoresponder. We want the person receiving that email. Did Justin really just email me that quickly? And that's what I love about iHomefinder, is the ability to customize the explosiveness of the initial email. Because if I can get that email, folks, that quickly, that will usually stop the average consumer from searching on other sites for you and give me an opportunity. I don't even know what's going on, right, Justin? Okay, the system worked. It sent an email. I get notification now that there's a lead. It at least buys me time, okay, to get back to the lead. The goal should be under 15 minutes on a lead. All right. Now, I know these agents, and especially the iHomefinder clients, you're the top of the market agents you deal with, you know, and I appreciate that, Justin, because that's our clientele. You know, but at the end of the day, folks, really seriously consider lead rotation, how are leads being distributed, but your response time's got to be under 15 minutes. And so I just love the customization that iHomefinder allows their clients to do, so that because the last thing you want, folks, is an autoresponder to look auto.
Well, and that's the great thing about our response campaign builder is we have an AI algorithm that will actually look at what your clients have done on your website, and it'll actually recommend listings to them and provide them with market stats based on that information. So your clients are already searching, and they're sitting there getting these, what looks like to be a personalized recommendation from you as the agent, when really it's an AI system that has read their activity on your website and it's recommending that to them. So
and AI,
instead of
folks,
you taking time,
AI, folks, is artificial
intelligence.
He uses a lot of acronyms. I'm here to translate for you. Like the one you said earlier, polygum. Yeah, it's like, what the heck's a polygum?
Keith J said in the Q&A, I can understand that open rate if we're dealing with my friends and family, even though what Keith said was, you know, he put it in parentheses, my friends, because my family doesn't always respond, but my friends actually open. How do I expand that? When I go into people I don't know, how do I expand my database to?
That's a great question. Who asked that question, Chuck?
Keith J out of Chicagoland.
Wow.
That's a great question. So iHomefinder actually has a solution for that. We have an app called Optima Leads that you can download onto your phone. And while you're actually out meeting with people in the field, you can add them to your CRM, put them onto these marketing campaigns, make notes, and set up where they are in your funnel, as well as what type of lead that person is, buyer, seller, whatever. So what you're actually able to do is have an app that is useful, that makes it so that you don't have to constantly remember to take notes, so that you have to go back to your office or your desk and sit down and update your CRM. Your CRM is as mobile as you are. And with agents and with how unique that is to your specific field, that is crucial. Having a CRM that goes with you, that you can add people, because like Chuck said, how do you continue to build these relationships with new people? Start it when you're right there. If you know what market that person lives in, add them to a market stats campaign that you've got for that specific area, because they're now in your circle. They're going to get that email from you on the first of every month. You can also add them to a homeowners campaign that you've built, so that, you know, it drips to them every 3 to 6 weeks about information that's relevant to them. These are all things that you can easily do with iHomefinder that take you less than 2 minutes to add.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this, Justin. When we talk about controlling the listing, what is your number one, and you coach thousands of agents on this, what would you say is your number one thing at controlling the future listing?
Keeping your clients informed and educated on their market. The
Okay.
reason that that is so important,
Go ahead.
what I've noticed in my experience is, and this is with clients who don't use iHomefinder and even clients who do, the only number one way that I see clients getting engaged with by their agent is when you sell a property, you send out a postcard that you did. But that property may not be in my city, my neighborhood, or even my community, but I know that you're still active. Versus a client who's using iHomefinder, sure, you're still getting all of those notifications, but you're also getting an email from me every single month with how the market you live in is performing. It is relevant specifically to you as the person. And it all links back to my site to provide you with additional data if you need it.
Excellent. And one of the stat I read years ago, I don't know the accuracy today, but it's probably still very accurate. According to the National Association of Realtors, 85% of realtors stop following up with their past client within 6 months. Think of that, folks. 85% stop following up with the past client within 6 months. So by adding, these people into these drip campaigns that iHomefinder has put together, and they're all automated based on artificial intelligence of what your personal consumer needs, you're staying in touch with them forever. Worst case scenario, they're getting an email at least once a month from you. So that's 12 touches a year, and you set the plan up forever. The average consumer stays in their home, what, Justin? 5 to 7 years. Well, that was the average years ago. I won't take the stats over the last 2 years. Okay. But I think by just that tool right there and controlling the listing, it's controlling the future seller. And folks, take that takeaway right now. Control the future seller, which are your past client buyers, number one, right?
Absolutely.
And think that. So, but folks, this isn't easy. You got to put the work in. They got to do the work. Now, if you don't do the work, you're not going to get these results. Go ahead, Chuck.
Bob, from our teams, or Justin, from your experience in working with your clients, what are the top 3 or 4 things that we should be communicating when you say market data or market information, things that are relevant and current?
Sure.
What do people want to hear today?
Great question.
Well, the most important things is obviously going to be the average cost of what the listings are now going on the market for, especially with the explosion in value in home values you saw over the last 2 years. If you're somebody who's lived in a market for 10, 15 years, imagine what you paid for a house then versus what that home might be worth now. And your children may no longer be home. You might be an empty nester, and you might be going, you know what? This is a lot to maintain. Or you just might want to know what your home's actually worth so you can maybe think about selling it. But knowing what homes in your area are selling for is a huge piece of information. Knowing how long a home will stay on the market, how long you have once that house goes up to make the decision of where you want to go. Is that a decision I need to make now? Do I need to start looking for where I potentially want to relocate to now? Or is this something that, once my house goes up, I have a few weeks to think about? And then also knowing how many homes are selling, like what's the overall inventory that's happening? Do I live in a market where there's a lot of houses for sale? Is there going to be a lot of bidding, or is this a market where there aren't that many homes for sale? I joke with people all the time. We have a market here in California, Roseville, California. It is, if I gave you a map in 30 minutes, you could not find it. They sold 150 houses in the last 30 days in a city that you couldn't find on a map, for an average of $650,000. That's pulled by the MLS. I'm not manipulating those statistics. That is data pulled directly from the MLS to the site. And that is pretty consistent with what they've been doing for 2 years now. They're not slowing down. So all this, and that's the other thing that I would say is really important with these market reports. Your clients are hearing a lot about slowing down or recession or whatever. Look at these market reports. They don't dictate that same information off to your clients. I mean, you can look if you're in an area where you have weather coming, winter's coming, we know. You can look at trends and you can see that, yeah, sure, homes are going to start to, the amount of time they stay listed is going to go up and the value is going to decline. But that's the seasonality of the area that you're in. You know that that's going to go right back up in March. And guess what? Your clients who are looking at your site will see those trends up here in July and then start to go down a little bit. It's all right there for them to see for 6 months how their market plays out on your site.
Those are awesome details, Justin. First of all, to clarify what you said, Bob and our clients are not seeing a decline. We've actually been up 20%, but that's a different story for a different time. Our conversation is how to get every other person either engaged in your technology to be able to do that. So those heat maps kind of indicate where agents should focus. Bob, share with Justin a little bit about what we do to help our teams focus on certain geographic areas, and how, based on what Justin just said, of getting that data to the agent themselves can help them focus on a certain neighborhood or a certain geography.
Okay, thanks, Chuck. And as with all of our webinars, we always want the public to know what do I see as one of valuable tools in real estate to be successful. And success has different meanings to a lot of people. Okay, but at the end of the day, folks, I am all about work-life balance, number one. Okay, I don't care how many. I hear a true story. I'm going to digress a little bit. This client prospect calls me, wants to hire me as his coach. Okay, and I said, husband, wife, how many homes you selling? He goes, 62. I knew the market he's in. Okay, and I said, well, how many hours a week do you work? His wife laughed on the call. I said, all right, your wife's laughter tells me 70. She goes, how about 90? I said, 90 hours for 62 houses? Wow. I thought he played a lot of solitaire. Okay. And then I said, when was the last time you took your wife out of town on a non-real estate related vacation? And the reason the question was poised that way is because real estate agents are notorious. Hey, Chuck, let's go to Las Vegas on vacation next week. Oh, by the way, there's a real estate conference. I'll attend that. You can enjoy the city, right? No. And his wife laughed harder. I said, ooh, that's 5 or 6 years. He goes, how about 8? I said, this is like within 5 minutes of the call, Justin. I said, Andrew, do me a favor. Take your wife out of state, non-real estate related vacation, and I'll tell you how I can help you. He goes, wait, I want to pay you all this money to help me. Why? Why do I have to go on vacation? I said, I'm about work-life balance. I can teach you how to sell a lot of number of homes, but you're going to have a stroke at 32 years old. And I don't want to leave a very young widow. Okay. 3 weeks later, he calls me back. I was shocked. I didn't believe it. He goes, hey, we're ready to get started coaching. I said, why'd you go on vacation? He goes, yeah, where'd you go? Vegas. How'd you get there? United. Where'd you stay? MGM. I said, great. Send me a paid receipt from MGM in your United itinerary. He goes, sounds like you don't trust me. I said, welcome to my world. Fast forward 7 years, he was selling 800 homes a year, working 20 hours a week. Folks, it's not, the myth is, if I want to sell that much, I have to work that much. No, it's called leverage. And we hear it at Bob Corcoran Associates, that's what we coach, is work-life balance, how to leverage your time to get other tools. Now, in accordance with this, we always, share. I don't want to ever share a competing technology, Justin, okay, on a webinar here. But here's a product, HomeBot. HomeBot.ai, I think, is a huge integration with iHomefinder. HomeBot.ai, HomeBot is a seller valuation tool, and I think by connecting that to your iHomefinder account, it is a seller valuation tool. And in 20 years since technology has really started playing an important role, the most valuable seller valuation tool I've ever seen and I probably at the beginning saw, Justin, 2 or 3 seller valuation tools a week. And this one has stood out on top of the world. Okay, so I think this is a great tool to tie into iHomefinder, not only the integration for a geographic area, but the tool is good globally. So if you live in California, you have friends in Florida, you can send your Florida friends valuations on their property and pick up referral fees. It's all about this topic of securing the listings. What do future sellers want to know? What's my home worth? Right? And it is a non-invasive call when you follow up with a phone call. Okay? The whole key is, I've always lived by the premise, if I send an email, follow up with a phone call. Well, I have to alter that because, hell, I have 5,000 people in my iHomefinder drip account. I can't call 5,000 people a month. Narrow it down, folks. Let's simplify it. Pick your top 100 clients to follow up with a phone call once a month. Who do I follow up with? Who is most frequent on my iHomefinder site? How much time are they spending? Well, let's talk about time on the site, Justin. Okay, the one thing, okay, and I see you already chopping at the bit wanting to speak, so I'm going to hold you off a minute. Okay, well, that's what really gravitated me towards iHomefinder was that the AI that you guys have implemented within your product. Okay, and a lot of it I heard from George, but you share some numbers because it's about time on site, isn't it, Justin?
Absolutely. You want them to spend more time on your site because the more time they spend, the higher the likelihood they become your lead, right? So we did a comparison, and the reason that you want to have a competitive map search, right, is because time on site. So we did a comparison in our own database, clients using our map versus clients who are using our standard search. Those clients spend an average of 30% more time on the website. And
30%.
30%. 30.
So
30.
I have a 39% open rate on my emails I'm sending from iHomefinder. And now you're telling me the average consumer is going to spend 30% more time on my site?
Because you have an interactive map search, and that's not the crazy part. The crazy part is you'll convert 50% more of them into leads.
All right. So folks, I'm like you listening when he said, you have a map search out. Quite frankly, I apologize. I don't know what the heck that is. Justin can, call Justin. He'll explain it to you.
Sure.
But folks, the bottom line, here's what I picked up. A 39% open rate, and I get people to spend more. That's Chuck. That's more time they spend on my site.
Yeah. And what's our open rate for our teams that are using HomeBot?
North of 70% open rate from HomeBot.
We got a 79% open rate on HomeBot combined with a 39% email open rate. What's our retention? And therefore, what's the depth? Because you either go wide in business or you go deep. And
Chuck, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Totally agree here, folks. And so I think what's grossly important here, number one, he who owns the listings owns the market. Remember that and drill that into your head. And the thing is, you got to have a part of your CRM with iHomefinder. You have to have an extremely strong category of future sellers. I have clients, using whether it's iHomefinder, HomeBot, other products, where we're following up with north of 5,000 future sellers. We can go the old days, Justin. You can send postcards, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, you can.
I can send postcards, but we know what direct mail. I go out to. Here's what happens. I go to the mailbox. I pull it out of the mailbox. I read both sides of it, and then I go right to the garbage can. Now
you give it the old Mitch Hedberg.
That's it. But folks, at the end of the day, focus on getting future sellers because that's the key to this business. If you're going to stay in this business for a long period of time, folks, focus on the future seller. Okay, to control the listing. Chuck, I'd like to move on a little bit. I think we said enough. Do you feel, Justin and Chuck, that
the one thing I would point out.
Go ahead, Justin.
The one thing I would point out on what Bob said about knowing which leads to contact, we actually will score your leads activity and rate them on a star scale of 3 stars, 2 stars, 1 star, 0 stars. So yeah, iHomefinder actually does let you know which leads are most active on your site in the CRM, so you can go ahead and focus your efforts.
That's awesome. That's really great.
Justin, I want to do a webinar specifically of iHomefinder users. All right, let's get that. I'm sorry, I was off script, Chuck, but I get so excited.
It's an incentive, Bob. I mean, honestly, we're all here to help people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because like you said, Bob, we want to help people either increase their productivity, have more life balance, and keep it simple. That's all. Not complicated. So if we can do that and get a group together, that's all good.
Justin, I've never done this before in my 33 years. I would like to set up a quarterly call with your users, only exclusive iHomefinder users. Okay. And all because folks, if you're not using iHomefinder, it's hard to get these results. If you look at your own current webmaster you're using, if they're not talking to you about these tools, then I don't want you to go out and change webmasters, but I'm telling you, I'd change. Okay. And I would tell you, I'd be giving Justin a call within probably before the webinar even ended. No, stay to the webinar, hear it all. Okay,
You know,
but
here's what
no,
we
I'm
find, right, Bob?
sincere about that, Justin.
Tell me if I'm wrong
Okay.
with our clients, right? It's fine to have a tool.
Right.
Tools are great, like iHome, but two, how do you use it? And three, who's gonna hold me accountable? Right? And there are the secrets to success.
Right.
Bob,
Yep.
Question
But-
from our chat box based on your offer. If we do quarterly calls from Corcoran on coaching for iHomefinder users, is that an additional cost to my membership from an iHomefinder?
Yes, there is.
Oh, from an iHomefinder standpoint? No.
So
iHomefinder,
from
you'll
my
You
still
have to let you,
perspective-
Justin, with all due respect, you're gonna let Bob answer that question.
All right. So for me, yes, there is a cost. The cost is showing up and staying there for the whole webinar.
Cool, that's a good.
Justin, you
Accountability.
weren't
There
expecting
you
that
go.
one, were you, bro?
You had me scared there for a minute, Bob.
All right, much like you said, Bob, let's switch gears because we got just a short amount of time to deliver a great amount of information. We've talked about staying in touch with our database, expanding our database, moving into different geographic areas. In today's day and age, we've seen in the real estate business and in other industries like law, it's all about me. I'm on the billboard, see me, talk about me. Gentlemen, Justin, I'm sure that iHomefinder has functionalities to be able to present bios and certainly the credentials of realtors. And I don't mean to diminish that, but there's a balance in that. Could you,
Absolutely.
Justin, first talk about how does iHomefinder help the agent differentiate themselves with their database based on their experience? And then Bob, could you
question.
comment on how important is that in today's marketplace?
Okay.
Because we're focused on market data. What's
Sure.
the balance between market data and the realtor themselves?
Sure. So, one of the things in my, this is my experience, especially in being, I am a millennial, so I do have to wear that brand.
I'm sorry.
We're gonna, it's all good. We're gonna judge you on your website. You're gonna get a 10-second review of your website by a millennial, and then they'll decide on that whether or not they're gonna continue to work with you. That's how they work. They're not gonna talk to you first. They're going to judge you based on how easy your site is to use, how good it looks, and they're going to go check out what you've done. iHomefinder pulls in your listings and keeps them separate from all the other listings. Granted, people can still search through them, but if I just want to go look at what has this agent done, I can go see your active listings and your sold listings. And we even have a tool because most MLS boards will pull sold listings after 2 years. That's just a thing they do. We have a feature where you can go add the solds that you want to continue to highlight beyond that 2 years as well. So if you have a really cool house you sold or a really high dollar value house you sold that you want to highlight on your website forever, you have the ability with iHomefinder to go do that and keep that on your website forever. So if you sold Michael Jordan's house in Chicago, you can keep that one on your website forever because that is a cool thing to show people.
That is cool. The thing I like about that, especially when we talk about increasing the average sale price, okay, folks, I'm going to say forever, okay, and let's say, I was just reading a statistic out of the Wall Street Journal that in 2006, before the market collapsed, the average sale price in America was like $210,000, okay? Last year, the average sale price in America was $425,000. Look at that, doubling, okay, in less than 20 years. Now, we are seeing a flattening today, yes. However, if the average consumer has, according to Wall Street, the average consumer has seen an increase of 32% in equity in their property. Even though listing prices are flattening right now, they're not going to drop down because the inventory is not there. Folks, it's about supply and demand. So we're talking about control the listing for the future. It's also, how do I increase my average sale price? True story here. A coaching client of mine, a buyer agent on a team I coach. We do goal setting, very intense goal setting. We always get them, do them in October. Goals must be set by November 15th. Wow, that's today, Chuck.
Yep.
Unbelievable. Oh, it's not
All goals are
evergreen
in.
anymore. It's not evergreen. Okay. Anyway, okay. Folks, the reason behind that is because usually sales after today are January closings. Now, the way, title companies, closing companies have, really fine-tuned theirs, we get them closed in 3 weeks sometimes. So I might extend it to the 22nd of November. But folks, it's important right now that you set your goals for next year. Focus on family serve. Now, increasing average sale price. This girl, Jennifer, she reaches out to me. She had set a goal. She wanted to sell 30 homes, okay, out of Columbus, Ohio. She calls me back 2 weeks later and says, Bob, I want to talk to you about changing my goal. And I'm thinking, great. She wants to go from 30 to 50. Okay. She goes, I want to lower my goal from 30 to 24. I said, Jennifer, what do you mean? She goes, I want my average sale price to be 600,000. Now, the team at the time's average sale price was 370. Now, that's, as a consultant, I can't say you can't do it. So what do? We pull out best tools. It's, write this down, folks. Prospect with intent. All the leads iHomefinder generates. What a typical real estate agent does, they sit down at their CRM, they open up iHomefinder. Of all their leads, they start at the top of their list and call down. Folks, wrong way to prospect. Here's the correct way. Sit down at your iHomefinder CRM back end on buyer leads. Okay. Click price. Call the highest price leads first. Because if the median price in your market is 300,000 and in your market, you're calling a buyer lead at 700,000, what do we know about, Justin, that $700,000 lead?
We know they're a buyer and they're above the average market price. And if my goal is to average 600K, that's a great place to start.
And don't you think they probably have a house to sell?
Yep.
Probably.
Oh, I'm controlling the listing again. So prospect with intent. Call the highest price buyer leads first, because you will pick up listing opportunities. The same thing in incorporating in the iHomefinder when you have your future seller platform and you have the valuation. If you incorporate, I strongly recommend you incorporate HomeBot with your iHomefinder, because now you sit down in your HomeBot database and you call the highest price valuations first.
Yep.
You want to increase your average sale price, folks. You got to talk to people who live. If you say my average sale price this year is $250, I want to raise it to $4. You incorporate tools, iHomefinder, HomeBot AI.ai, call the highest price seller leads first. Easiest way to increase your average sale price. And folks, some people don't, Justin. They're uncomfortable. If the median price is 400 grand, why are they uncomfortable talking to $1 million seller?
I wish I knew. Those people are just as fun to talk to as the people at the 400 grand level.
Hey, put their pants on the same way.
Way more.
Hey, Bob, here's a
Exactly.
question for you, because I know you've been in the business 2 years longer than I have. Who's affected more by the increase in interest rates today? The $700,000 buyer or the first-time home buyer?
First-time home buyer all the way. Okay.
So, and,
You know, the thing
who has more equity to put down and more
a baby boomer, unlike those freaking millennials. Now, the issue with millennials, Justin, they need to learn to communicate with baby boomers. If you look at different technologies and communication styles, okay, a baby boomer wants a phone call, folks.
Mm-hmm.
A millennial will take an email or a text.
On WhatsApp.
Preferred text.
Yeah, right. Gen X only wants a text.
Yep.
Okay. So folks, learn how to communicate with each generation. If you know you're dealing with somebody in the upper end price point of your market, rest assured they're probably a baby boomer, and they would go on the assumptions. Because people starting out, now aren't many first-time home buyers buying $2 million properties. Okay, so if somebody wants to buy a $2 million property, they're probably a baby boomer, folks.
Yep.
Okay, let's go with the odds here. Make a phone call.
That's right.
Okay.
Hey,
Well,
John,
and in my experience, anyone at that income level honestly would prefer a phone call, period. That's just it. It's not even non-generational. If you want to work with higher income people, you know, and that's my experience, even with working with luxury brokerages. You can email them till your heart's content. You are going to get way more done, and it's going to mean way more to them as from a business relationship standpoint to just make a phone call. They want a voice to put to that name.
And reality is, let's strip it away. No sales ever been done without actually talking to a person.
correct. And that's why, we started with, this is a simple business. It's about getting belly to belly, face to face. And that's the great part about these webinars and you guys sharing the information you have, because it's all about some of the stories that are relevant today. I had a team myself that one of their buyer agents said, Chuck, I just missed out on an expired listing. Somebody else got it. I said, why? Well, they knocked on the door. I said, really, where was this? New Smyrna Beach, in Florida, on the water. $8.5 million expired. The person knocked at the gate. The interesting thing was, seller said to them, there were 8 people that came to my door that day. You only called. I'm going with the person that knocked on the door. So those people that say door knocking is dead, I don't know if that's true or not. I just know the stories of the people that we work with that actually get the job done. So
the thing is, Chuck, at the end of the day, and I want to respect people's time. At the end of the day, it's always keep it simple, sweetheart. Everything you do, kiss it. Okay? Don't let work control you. Learn how to use the technology that we have in today's real estate market to benefit you on a work-life balance attitude, okay? And I have found that the tools that iHomefinder is able to lead or to give to their clients fully subscribe to my work-life balance feature, okay? And, Chuck, at the end of the day, I think a question that still lingers with some age, I don't think this is important today, though. How do I differentiate myself? Is that as important today as it was 10 years ago, though? But here's why I asked the question, Chuck, or Justin. One of you two are going to, and Justin, you're probably going to answer it. Here's why I asked the question. Nobody wants to hear you're number one in the market. They don't give a crap. What I have found with my clients, more and more people are reading things like Google reviews, right? They're checking in on LinkedIn. So where is your presence? How many Google reviews do you have? Down here in Florida, I get on the radio, guy, promotes, hey, we have over 10,000 5-star reviews. Now, when we look at baby boomers are at the top of the spectrum of sellers, millennials, Gen X, Gen Z, all the other generations, they're checking reviews more so than any other generations. And that group of people is making up the biggest, largest contingent of future home buyers and sellers. So make sure your reviews are good. But differentiating myself today, Justin, how important is that?
Differentiating yourself or differentiating the markets you're an expert in, because that's really where it's going to come down.
Oh, wait.
And again, who are you?
Pose the question again.
Is it, how do you differentiate yourself, or how do you differentiate where you're the expert?
It's a little bit of both, Justin, because we've covered the market.
Hold on. What's more important, Justin?
So that, and again, I think that comes down to your comparison of baby boomers to the other generation. There are people where your reputation and about you is going to be extremely important, right? So it is as important as having a solid, where am I the expert, right? Okay. Because as a millennial, as a Gen Xer, as a Gen Zer, when I go to your site, I should be able to quickly find out where you're the expert, right? Not number one, because in some places Taco Bell has the world's best tacos, but where are you the local market expert? What can you tell me
analogy.
Exactly, but what can you tell me about some of these?
Justin,
what can you tell me about
I used to live in Vienna, Austria, and I used to go to Taco Bell.
Right. So that's but see, that's the thing is like, you can always say, I'm number one in this, I'm number one in this. Show me.
That's it. Folks, listen, did you hear what Justin said? Show me. They want to read reviews from real live past clients of yours. And folks, that is how future buyers and sellers are making a determination of, it's one of the things that they're going to choose you to work with you. If it's knocking on a door, Chuck, okay, it doesn't matter, folks. The differentiation is still speed to lead.
Yep, absolutely.
And remember that.
We're approaching the top of the hour, and I've had 7 or 8 people chime in on the chat and question. Bob, we've had a few people that have said, hey, Bob or Chuck, can you share 30 minutes with me, taking a look at my team, my business? Can you help me on coaching? So I've put in our link so that they can connect with us.
Okay.
Just the same way with iHomefinder. I've had 7 or 8 people say, well, where do I sign up? Like, how do I do this? So
Well,
that's great. So we've
you
put
know-
in your information into the chat box, and we'll continue to communicate that. But to round out the hour, Justin, I'll give you first shot, and Bob, I'll give you next. Justin, anything that we haven't covered or anything you feel that, you know, has been left unsaid, share with our audience a little bit about what you feel iHomefinder can do for the people that are listening.
What iHomefinder is going to do, not can do, is going to make you competitive, right? It's going to make it so that your work-life balance is something that is completely within your control. A lot of what we do is automated for specifically that. You want to spend your time, which is what Chuck, said earlier, to start the webinar, face-to-face, belly-to-belly. That's the very simple part of this. It is a very simple business. The complex part is getting you from point A to point belly-to-belly. That's where iHomefinder really is going to come in and help you to do that by automating a lot of that for you and letting you spend time with the clients you need to spend time with.
That's awesome. Justin, thank you. Hey, Bob.
But hold on, I have a
said,
comment for Justin.
Yeah.
All right, Justin, a client says to you, that's well and good, but I don't like talking to people. What do you say?
I would say that real estate is probably not the best industry for you. If
Thank
you really
you.
don't like talking to people, you should love talking to people.
All right,
If you
bro.
want to get into sales, you better like talking to people.
But I do hear
Chatty
that,
humans.
especially
Yeah.
I run into that, folks. And with baby boomers will talk to people. Gen X, millennials, they don't like talking to people as much because they don't like rejection. Folks, if you don't like rejection, go work at Walmart. Okay? They'll even
That's
get
fair.
rejection there, though. Okay?
That's fair,
The
yeah.
thing is, that's life. At the
Well,
end of the day,
in all seriousness too, Bob, our industry, like many, can afford some people to come in and do some business for some people. And certainly our industry of 1.7 million licensed real estate agents has that. I am not saying that they are any worse or any better than anyone else. We don't evaluate things based on production. It's about quality. So what we're talking about is, of course, that person with relationships with their family might do a few sales. That's not whom we're speaking of. We're speaking of that
Right.
person that wants to make this a career. That person is the person you're speaking to, Justin, that says, I want to communicate the value of my offering, the quality of my service, the value of my marketplace, the essence of my community, the culture of my team, and what I offer you. And I want to be a long-term client. I want to be a client for life. So Bob, if you could round us off with just some of the elements that really make up a successful realtor or team based on what Justin has said and based on what we shared today.
thanks, Chuck. Okay. When in closing, I love this industry. My heart bleeds for the industry. I believe I want my client success more than they wanted. I want a better work-life balance than they want. And the reason is because we can make a lot of money. Think about it. My average client last year sold 378 properties, Chuck, our average client, right? But they all started out selling one house. But at the end of the day, folks, don't believe the myth that you can sell a lot of homes and work a lot of hours. You don't have to. You have technologies. iHomefinder has changed, in my professional opinion, the industry when it comes to staying in touch with people, as long as you understand time management. In my 33 plus years of doing this business, in coaching people, I know our average client, Chuck, has increased production 48% over the last year over in their first 12 months coaching with us. But it's that, Justin, I'm most proud of. They've reduced their work hours 62%.
That's awesome.
Think about it. And
That's amazing.
all right, and decreased expenses 23%. So I increased production 47%, decreased expenses 23%, and decreased number of hours I worked by 62%. That sounds like a winning formula.
Yep.
So folks, in closing, it has been always an esteemed pleasure, to share a screen here with Justin Kerr from iHomefinder. I've known the guy about 5-6 years now, And the more I investigate the company and bring their tools to you, I'm telling you, it's a no-brainer. And I don't know if iHomefinder wants to back me up on this, but I guarantee if you sign up with iHomefinder and you follow the advice they give you, here's the disclaimer. I'm going to let Justin throw the number out. If you sign up for iHomefinder today and you follow the system of what they tell you to do, Justin, are you willing to put on the line and say you can expect an increase of X% or your money back?
You can expect an increase because we have seen that. It all varies per market. So, and
you have a ballpark number.
Yeah, and I would say
I
it
actually
varies per
don't, because
individual.
we don't do transaction management.
All right.
I think it varies per individual because we've seen that, Bob.
I know it does. I didn't mean to
And
put
it
you on the
varies
spot
based
like
on
that, but
what you said, Bob, of holding people accountable, and we're happy to supply that quarterly event, Justin. You know,
We do,
support that. So whatever you
absolutely.
want for your
Chuck,
company.
I'm willing to say anybody who signs up for coaching with us, you'll increase production 30% or your money back. I'm willing to go on the line with that. But at the end of the day, it's about following proven tools. If your coach says sign up for iHomefinder, don't question it, because you're getting your money back if you don't see the increase. See, it's all about bringing the right tools to help you achieve the goals you want. Does that make sense, Justin?
Absolutely, it makes sense.
All right, I'll talk to your bosses at iHomefinder to make that kind of commitment, bro.
I'm gonna have to.
I'm going to close you
better.
guys out before you promise something that you can't.
I promise if you don't,
He's giving away free
30%,
ponies next.
Chuck will come live with you for a month to make it happen.
Justin, great pleasure to have you on with us today.
Pleasure was mine, guys. Thank you for having me.
Bob, as always, it's not only valuable, but it's fun. And that's what our business is about. It's about helping people with one of the most important things they do in their life, which is finding a home for their family. So gentlemen, thank you so much for today. It was awesome. And for all of you who stayed on, we had 97% of the people stay on today. Thank you so much. It was really great. Have a great day, gentlemen.
Have a good
Bye,
one.
everybody. Bye-bye.